going to go back over to this still open copy of Enterprise Manager. This is my Screen to Machine Center interface. You can see it's very similar to the standard Screen to Machine Center interface. My list of parts here has groups by whatever we're sorting by, and they're collapsible. You can see here where I can click once to select the whole cabinet. We could sort by width. I could select the whole group. We could sort by, what room they're in. We could sort by the operations count on the part. So these parts have no operations. These parts have one. Real easy. I could select all the ones with 0 and pick which machine they're going to go to. We can also, let's sort by part name real quick. It's AutoCAD style editing, so if we multi-select, we can change them all with one quick thing. I could change the quantity of all these parts to 2. I could change their part name to something else. I could change their material with one fell swoop. Say these are all going to be good one side. We'll set that back. Same's true for materials. I got a list of materials down here. I can change whatever properties I want about them. I can multi-select and change multiple at once. I can also add new sizes right here. I have my own filter. We're going to filter by cabinet, and then I have different actions you can take. So we can change the action to be select just those parts that are for that cabinet. A few of the things that are a little different are I can filter by assembly class. Name, whether the cabinet is already in production or not. So when you have a phased project, it becomes very simple to simply remove the cabinets that are already in production, and then you're just working with the data for those that aren't. I can select just the cabinets that are already in a particular task, which is what we call a work order. We have some other stuff we can do here that aren't parts of the normal Screen to Machine Center. Real quick, I can pull up the jobs, bill of materials, or browse the cabinets that are in this parts list. Pull up the purchase orders. Once we're done making whatever modifications here we're going to make, we're going to launch the standalone Screen to Machine Center. One of the things that my client program here does is its own offcut inventory, and they're numbered and barcoded. So actually, if I flip back over here real quick and click on melamine white, you can see these barcoded offcuts exist. And one of the other things it does is allow for material renaming. So we have this PL1. We'll close the Screen to Machine Center. This PL1, if I pull up job properties here, we can go over to this materials colors tab. We have some scheduled laminates. If I edit this definition, you can see it's a material color. It goes on the material colors tab under the group laminates. We can restrict the values, what order it's displayed in, and you'll see it displays on the task cover sheet, which means it's automatically communicated to the shop. So I'm going to select that, and this is our material selector. So I'm going to enter a Wilsonart item that I know there are some offcuts for. It'll actually go out to the Wilsonart web page if it's one that it hasn't seen before, and figure out what the name is from the number. I'm going to save this, and now I'm going to actually re-enter my Screen to Machine Center interface, so it'll add the offcuts again. And you'll see here it's identified PL1 as Wilsonart 791978 Amber Cherry, and if I click on this, it's added some offcuts automatically. So I'm just going to nest this whole thing. There's some parts that don't fit. That's fine. And I'm going to make use of the pause key here so you're not sitting watching it nest. Okay, and now we have our patterns, from which I'm going to go ahead and generate code. Okay, and now a link script is actually going to automatically open up the task import function from Enterprise Manager. Here we can specify that we're importing into a new task and give it a name, or an existing task, or recuts as its own special type of task. So we're going to call this cabinets and counters. We can select whether it's initially made available for manufacturing or whether we're simply bringing it in to have it ready and we'll release it to manufacturing later. You can see here one of the job properties is set to be mandatory before allowing import, and I didn't fill it out. So we'll open the job windows property and we'll answer this question. The definition here has mandatory before allowing task import, and that's why I can't get away with not supplying that information. Alright, here we're editing the task. We can specify a work order document and attach it to it. It makes it available for the shop floor. We can specify a constraint date, which means it can't begin manufacturing until this date. We could say we actually need this ready on Tuesday. We have a task note here. It was propagated with the default task note, but I could actually key in whatever I want, watch for special edge banding. Again, anywhere we're working with a job, we can use auto text, and we can automatically fill out, I could say on PL01, and it auto-filled to the value of that. The routing is where it's going to go in the shop. We can specify a number of hours, or we can allow it to automatically calculate. We can actually assign it to a particular user, anybody we want. We can track the completion percent here. We can assign a specific note to this routing. We can add assemblies here, but after it imports, it's going to add them all anyway. That's useful for things that aren't going through the CNC. We got a list of errors here. They're the same ones the Screen and Machine Center told me about. We manually add things like post-form countertops so that we have tracking on them and completion data, but they don't go through the CNC, so they don't get imported using this method. I'm going to pause just so you don't sit here through all this. Just as a note, this is running very slowly right now because it's a brand new copy of the database. It hasn't had a chance to build indices yet. The way the database works, it actually gets faster as it gets used more. Alright, after import, we're presented with the bill of materials. This is my chance to look at this and realize, shoot, that's not the hinge I had in mind, whatever it happens to be. Or make some changes. I could zero something out that's not going to be used. We'll go ahead and close the bill of materials. Ask us if we want to generate a cover sheet. The order of events here is actually configurable. This is like a traveler document, has a barcode, can be scanned, has our note, has all of the properties that are set to be communicated to the shop, the routing so that the shop knows what's going to happen to this, list of the sheet goods needed for CNC, a complete bill of materials. Shops will use this to pre-stage their drawer guides and whatever it is. List of all the cabinets sorted by room, grouped by room, all their in conditions, a barcode, list of the drawer boxes that are going to be needed. We can show control through settings whether we show doors on there or only buyout doors, or drawer boxes or only buyout drawer boxes. This is our CNC interface. We'll cover this in the next video.